My friend claims he glued himself to his autobiography. I don't believe him, but it's his story and he's sticking to it.
Yeah.
So I am curious, what would you guys name your autobiography?
I'm better than you.
There was no hesitation
No,
there.
because I've already thought about it.
All right.
I had one a long time ago that was really good, but I cannot think of it anymore.
I'd call it "I'm better than you," and then it'll just be a whole big story of how I'm not better than you.
Now that's a good twist of a book right there.
Didn't see it coming. I think mine would be just Larry in big letters. And it's going to have a picture of me and Joe Gatto from Impractical Jokers. That's
You're
it.
gonna have to get his consent for that.
Nope. I'm gonna like AI his face and next to
You're
mine.
just gonna eat it later.
Yeah. I'll deal with those legal ramifications.
And
I'll be like,
use
listen,
AI.
man. I'll be like, listen, you used my name, and I didn't give you consent.
Yeah.
And I get so much crap because people are like, "Oh, your name's Larry." Larry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's better than Larry the Cucumber or Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cable
Yeah.
guy. You know, if I had to compare you to one person, it's him.
I hate you.
I mean, I don't
you so
blame you. I would
much.
take offense to that too.
Yeah. Anyways,
That was meant ironically, of course. But
welcome to As That As It Gets, the podcast where Tom gets fired publicly on the podcast.
No.
all right, this is like maybe the second time David's been fired like 20 times.
David's fired. He's currently sick. But
yeah,
to be
he's
fair,
he's using a sick day today.
yeah.
A lot of listeners can't see me, but I'm using quotation marks right now.
If you do want to see us, check us out on Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah, we got that.
But I'm your host
don't
Larry,
wanna see
and with me are my cohorts Curly and Mo.
Heyo. Wait,
Which one do I want to be?
I don't
know.
Who's
Mo's the mean one.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take ownership.
You're gonna take the mean one?
Tom is Mo and John is Curly.
I don't know. I thought David would be Curly because Curly was bald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're Shemp.
Oh no, I'm gonna disappear after a while. No.
Yeah. I mean, David should be Shemp.
David really should be Shemp.
There you go. I'll be the goofy one that does the running on the ground on circles.
Yeah, there you go. I can't do that.
There you go.
My back. So today's topic, as every parent knows, it is that time of year again. You've seen the ads. They're all over TV. You've collected the lists from your local schools. And the shopping has begun. That's right. We're talking about going back to school or going to school for the first time.
Yeah.
So for John, he's pretty much an expert at this now. For me, I kind of dealt with it when we were changing my daughter's daycare. Because my daughter's daycare was absolute nightmare. Like at one point they tried to give me the wrong child.
Oh.
What?
Yeah.
Now, was it just a "Oops, our bad. Here's your child"?
Oh, I don't think
or-
I've ever told you guys this story.
No, you
No.
haven't. What's the
So
name
this-
of the daycare?
I'm not going to publicly name them.
Fair.
What does it rhyme with?
It has the word kids in it.
Oh, okay. That
That really narrows it down.
It narrows it down. But no, so this was when my daughter was in foster care, and like I always joked about that happening because they were really bad about sending her home in clothes that weren't hers, and and so like I was like, one day they're gonna send us home a completely different child, and I went to pick her up, and this was during COVID. So they wouldn't let parents in to help prevent the spread.
Yeah.
What you did was you drove up, you got out of your car, you rung the bell. They would be like, okay, which kid's yours? Or if they knew you, they would give you just the kid that belongs to you. So I'm sitting there looking at my phone, waiting for them to open the door, waiting to hear my daughter scream my name. And they open the door, and this little girl goes running out, and she stops and freezes. And I'm looking at my phone, not thinking anything about it. I was like, okay, her dad's behind me or something. And then she turns around and runs back inside. And I turn around and look, and I don't see anybody there. And then, like, 2 minutes later, they come out laughing and like, we almost gave you the wrong kid. Ha ha ha.
That's not a ha ha ha.
Yeah.
At least the child didn't make it in your van. That's a
Yeah,
completely different.
But like
Yeah.
Still.
with my daughter being in foster care,
Yeah.
like, that could be a potential problem if like a parent has not good relationship with another family member or something,
Yeah.
and the child isn't allowed to see them, or like if there's custody problems, things like that. Like that's where it can be an issue. And so that night, I
Mhm.
called the director and I told her what happened. I was like, listen, I understand it was a mistake, but this cannot happen again.
Mhm.
And that was the last time I ever seen those two girls that worked there. So I think I
Yeah.
might have got them fired.
I mean,
But-
not that I want them to not have a job, but yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there was a bunch of different issues that led up to us leaving that daycare. Like they monitored our Facebook and made comments about posts we made on Facebook
Yeah.
and things like
Oh,
that.
that's also super uncool.
Yeah, that was the last straw.
That's just weird.
Yeah, because what it was my wife shared a post on Facebook, and it was like one of those memes that's like daycares be doing this, and it was just a kid, like a kid's drawing, like scribbled on paper, and it's like daycare's sending this crap home every day. And my wife shared it on my Facebook page,
Mhm.
and I commented on it, was like, I just stopped grabbing the paper because every day is the same scribble. Like she's gonna draw a couple hundred times. It's okay to throw a couple away. And they saw that. And the next day when my wife goes to take my daughter into daycare, they were like, hey, your husband shared something on Facebook that really just made us look stupid, and we don't appreciate that.
Okay.
And it's like, for one, why are you monitoring our social media? Like, we do not work for you. You work for us.
Mhm.
And I think they thought that that was like, I guess they forgot that, because most daycares have people by the balls. Like
Yeah.
you can't get into another daycare within 4 months.
Mhm.
But we got lucky and we reached out to someone and was like, hey, we trust you, we know that you work at this daycare, is there a spot open? And they're like, yeah.
That's lucky.
Yeah, we got our daughter in like the next within a month.
Nice.
So now,
But
at least it was a girl that they sent out.
yeah,
Because
they knew I had a daughter, they just didn't know which one.
I know what your daughter looks like, and I'm thinking to myself, what if they sent like a little Asian boy out?
That would be funny.
Yeah.
It's bad to laugh at that, but like,
No, but I'm just
Yeah,
like,
that-
at least they had it kind of right.
But she was blonde and older.
oh yeah, absolutely no.
Yeah.
Did she have straight hair? Because then it's just a whole kind of mess. Because
I don't remember. I mean, my daughter has straight hair.
I thought she had curly hair.
No, that's John's.
That's John's daughter.
Continue.
It's the sick guy. You can't see me, some of you, but I'm doing the quotey things again.
No, John's daughter has like the curliest hair I've ever seen.
And we do not know where she gets it from.
Yeah. Like my daughter's hair will not hold a curl.
Yeah.
But no, so schools.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
let's
Back
get
on topic.
So I did some digging,
Mhm.
and like there are things that people need to look around before thinking about schools, because you do have options. Like, well, depending on where you live, some schools require you to go to their school based on where you're zoned. For
Yeah.
us, that's not an issue. Like our city is small enough to where it doesn't do zoning.
Okay.
Whew.
Yeah, because I'm glad too, because there's a school literally at the end of my street, but they
Oh,
are
that's
so
awesome.
bad.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we're not going there.
Not awesome.
We're
Okay.
going to the one further. But the things that we looked at before deciding which school to pick or even which daycare,
Mhm.
because we did ask around daycares and schools. So experts, they recommend to consider your child's needs, because some schools do not have very, like if you have a special needs child, some of them don't have good special education.
Yeah.
There's a school couple cities over. A friend of mine my wife's friend, their son has some learning difficulties, and they have identified them with experts outside of the school system, but the school system refuses to test for this to get them into the proper testing, like
Oh.
get them the proper help.
Uh,
Yeah, they're like, no, he's fine, it's just he doesn't pay attention. It's like, no, he has dyslexia. No, it's fine. So consider your child's needs, and not even just special education, like their needs for socializing and stuff like that. Like you want them to feel comfortable going to the school they're going. So consider, like, I know that they'll make friends, but if possible, it might be easy to have a friend already there.
Yes.
So you want to look at the policies of the school, because especially here in the South, some schools have outrageous policies, like they still spank
Yeah.
with paddles. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm grateful the fact that I remember when I was in like elementary school, we had our principal who did not spank, but had the paddle like mounted on the wall. So if you had to go into the office, it just sat there. It's like a threat.
Yeah.
But
In middle
yeah,
school,
as far as I know, it never got touched though.
the coach, who was also the math teacher, paddled kids, and he named his paddle Scorch because he'd set your butt on fire.
I worry about that when you have people that give nicknames to it. It's like, what the crap, dude?
But Scorch was duct taped because he broke it on a kid's butt.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this was a thick wooden paddle, and he broke it on a child. And nobody in the area saw a problem with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. It's like, okay, we can physically abuse children as long as the parents sign a consent form. Like,
Tell you what, sign a consent form because I'm about to physically abuse you.
exactly. And this is going to be one of the rare times that I'm going to do this, but what the
Yeah.
like, but yeah, so look at the policies. Definitely look at how they discipline and stuff like that, and even their teaching styles. There are different teaching styles that some work better for other kids than others.
Yeah,
so
my wife is just getting a new job teaching in a different school, and they go on a different teaching program, and so she's had to hunker down and relearn the entire new system, not just for her, but for the fact that they also provide daycare for my daughter to go as well, and they use the same program for that. So
Yeah.
she's gone and just relearned everything that they're going to be doing.
I had no idea your wife was a teacher. What'd she teach?
She's getting, well, right now she's working with little kids, but we're hoping to go to older kids at some point. But yeah, different towns now. So she used to be in the town north of us, which was like a 20-minute drive.
Gotcha.
And she is now getting ready to teach at the school across the street from us.
That makes things easy.
It's so great.
Yeah.
And like,
Walk to work.
yeah, pretty much.
But
And
it
they were
also
just like, she was like, hey, so the old school would let me come in right after my son was on the bus because their rival schedules were off.
Yeah.
She could just time it correctly, right? With this one, they were like, no, we're here on the same time. She's like, well, I mean, I'm right across the street. So like, well, you might be like 5 minutes late, but you're just across the street. Okay, we'll make this work.
Yeah.
The only bad thing about that is if you ever take like a like those mental health days where you just need time off,
Yeah.
but you're not really sick. Work is your boss is like literally right across the street.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like, I'm sick. No, you're not. I can see you.
Most of the jobs I've had, I've been very lucky where they recognized mental health. Like, taking time off as a sick day. Be like, hey, like, we get it. Like, you're worn down. You had some personal stuff happen. Like, whatever. Take a day, take a half day, like, whatever you need to make sure you can do your job correctly. But
Walmart didn't do that.
No. I get the feeling. I'm not surprised. I got the feeling.
Yeah, I'm not terribly surprised about that, but
yeah, I'm very lucky with my current boss that he very much so is like, you need a day, yeah, go take a day. As long as we don't desperately need you, go take the day.
Yeah, I don't even tell people why. I'm just like, I'm not gonna be there. That's all you need to know.
yeah,
Unless it's something to where I have to take up more time than I need.
Yeah.
Or more time than I have. If it's like a day or two, you do not need to know.
yeah.
And that's what I tell my bosses, and they get mad. So another thing to look for when you're looking at schools, the curriculum, which is, that kind of helps with the learning style. And also the location.
Yes.
Because, I mean, it's all about location. For me, I really wish that the school at the end of my street was better, because I could literally walk there.
Yeah, and those are nice, especially when you have a little kid and you can just take them down yourself and everything.
Yeah, which if we were to do the bus or anything like that, that's when we don't have a choice on where they go. So if we want my daughter to go to the school that we want her to, we have to drive her there ourselves.
Pick them up
yeah, which is something that we will figure out when we come to that. We've got a couple years.
Yeah, just get her an Uber.
That's it. My town doesn't do Uber.
A Lyft?
It's a town. No, it's a town of 3,000 people. We have a taxi service.
Oh,
like Athens, kind of.
Maybe
for
smaller.
Our listeners who have been or live in Athens, the college
sorry.
town. Yeah. First of all, I'm sorry.
So when you're researching the place that you want your kid to go to, be sure to get people's opinions, because like with my daughter's daycare, had I heard the horror stories about the director and everything, I would not have taken her there. Like, the director hated children and would make comments like, if I was on vacation and like, we try to keep my daughter's to her schedule, because if she's on a different schedule, it messes with her. She gets in bad moods.
Yeah. She's a kid. That happens.
Yeah. So if I was on vacation, I would still take my daughter to daycare. One, because we're paying for it, whether she's there or not. And two, because it keeps her normalcy. Yeah. But if the director found out that I was on vacation, she'd be like, so you're coming to get her early, right? It's like, you don't know what I've got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if somebody had told me all this stuff, I wouldn't have chosen there.
That's so weird.
Um,
Why?
Yeah, why do you get yourself that high in that line of work?
Well, because the director was also the owner, so the less kids were there, the less people she had to pay to watch the
Oh, but
kids.
still, it should not matter.
Oh, neat.
Yeah,
So she just wanted more money, and
yeah. She kept the staff very minimal.
Yeah. Disadvantage
Um,
of working with a private daycare is you encounter situations like that.
yeah. Well, so for the longest time, we didn't take my daughter to therapy or to school on Fridays because she had occupational therapy. And when she graduated from occupational therapy, we started taking her to school on Fridays. But regardless of if she was there or not, like the entire time, we paid for Fridays. Like we did not, like we always paid for Fridays. And when I started taking her there on Fridays, the director was like, "Oh, wish you would have told us that she was going to be here because I've already sent somebody home." And I was like, "Oh, I did when I wrote you a check for the full week. I told you she was going to be there." So that's the kind of parent I am.
Well, guess what, director? It looks like you're going to be in a room then.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, "We'll figure it out." But so like experts recommend that you visit the classroom, which is something I did with my daughter's new daycare. Just kind of visit, meet everybody, the principal, the teachers, like get to know what kind of environment your child is going to be in.
In fact, my son and I are doing that tomorrow. They're having a ice cream social, meet the teacher, see your room type thing.
What kind of ice cream?
I don't know yet. But it's
if it's mint chocolate chips, send it back.
You shut up.
Why you
mint chocolate chip is fantastic.
It is literally the worst. I would rather eat carpet lint flavored ice cream. I tried to keep it like as PG-ish as I
mean, you like pineapple on pizza, so you can just
I'm a normal person.
But
so moving on,
it's nice just to be able to meet the teacher and everything. Heck, we've already found out the name, and we went and looked up last year's yearbook, and so we're like, oh, well, this is what she looks like then. So at least he can now have a face to the name.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be able to do that and talk to them and everything. And I always give them a lot of parents are very quick whenever a situation happens to take the side of their children now. And that's not how it used to be. It used to be that we always listen to the teacher. And so I always will tell them the same thing. I am the son of a teacher, I am the brother of a teacher, and I am the husband of a teacher. Unless you give me a reason not to believe you, I'm going to listen to you first.
Yeah.
So, and they...
Especially knowing who I was as a kid, I'm probably going to trust the teacher first.
And my best friend's a teacher, so yeah.
You can see like their shoulders go down just a little when I tell them that.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
yeah, thank God at least I have one parent who's not going to come in raving at me.
But one thing that they do recommend, write down 5 things that are important for you as a parent when looking for a school. At least 5. Like, because one of the biggest problems with and this isn't necessarily a problem, but like one of the things that I didn't like is so without going into religion, we try not to talk about religion, but I personally am agnostic. I was raised Southern Baptist, but I just, that's my thing. The daycare that my daughter now currently goes to, one of my biggest concerns with them is that they are a Christian nursery. So like I was worried about what they would be teaching her as far as religion, because like me being raised fire and brimstone, I know that terrified me as a child.
Yeah.
So I was worried about
raised Catholic.
I was worried about that being taught to my daughter. I was like, I don't want you guys teaching her that she's going to go to hell. They were great. Like they were like, yes, we do Like some worship on Wednesdays, but for the most part, the nursery stays separate from the church.
Okay.
And I mean, like us being in the South, another big worry that I had was that they would be teaching her anti-gay rhetoric, because like in the South, a lot of religious people will use religion to bash gay people or bash the LGBTQ community.
And that's a whole thing that we're not even going to start on.
Yeah, but
I will not stop.
we did voice our concerns about that. We were like, we want to teach our child that love is love. And they were like, no, that's fine. We don't get into that. Like a couple of the teachers, are a part of the community. They don't voice it publicly to a lot of people, but they're welcome. Like they're in a safe environment. They feel
that's nice to hear.
Safe.
Actually.
So
really.
Yeah. And after that, we were like, okay, when can she start?
Yeah. Especially like I lived in the Bible Belt as well, and like hearing that from schools in that area, especially like daycares or things like that. Like that's a refreshing.
Yeah. And I mean, like I've heard a lot of schools where children have come out as trans, and they want to go by a different name. One of my wife's best friends, her son came out as trans, and so when they identified as a he, the school didn't recognize it. They still called him by his old name, his dead name, and they refused to answer. They refused to call him what he wanted to be called, and they refused to call him a he. To the point to where they went to the court and got his name legally changed so that the school had to do it.
Like good for them on like going to get the name changed legally, but bad on the shame on the school for
But the school system, they didn't see a problem with it. They were like, well, this is their name. It's like, okay, well, like your name's Tom, and
my birth name is Thomas, and I go by Tom. Like
I'm actually Larry, so there's no Lawrence.
Oh, I would have thought you were a Lawrence.
Nope.
That goes by Larry.
Nope. I'm a Larry that goes by Larry.
Now I'm thinking of Office Space and the guy's neighbor whose name is Lawrence.
But anyways, we've gone on a lot of tangents in this, but
what we do.
Yeah, but so John, actually, you came up with the next thing on my list here. That was talk to your kids. Once you find your school, talk to your kids about what to expect to prepare them. Let them know, this is your school. Visit it beforehand. Go through everything. And like for my daughter with her daycare, we went to the daycare. We toured everything. The place is fantastic.
It's good to hear.
She has a pet chinchilla. Like they have a class pet chinchilla named Cosmo.
I love that.
Yeah.
So cool.
And I'm jealous that my daughter gets to hang out with Cosmo all day. But like we sat at the playground and she played with the students there to kind of see how she would integrate. And she's an extrovert, so she gets along with everybody just fine. Yeah.
I like the fact that they actually let your daughter do that on the in the open house.
Yeah, that's big.
Just to interact and everything.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even really an open house. It was just us. Like we were the only ones.
Went to go just check it out, and they're like everyone else already went there.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody else was already there.
Because a lot of places will just be like, oh, here's the thing, we do that. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was expecting. I was like, okay, we've seen everything. All right. And they're like, do you want to let her play while we just talk? I was like,
that's great.
It's fantastic.
We can do that?
Are we allowed?
But yeah, just prepping your kid, not just with whatever materials they need, But like your daughter's old enough that you can actually sit down and say, this is what's happening. We're going from one place to another, and taking that moment
Yeah.
to say, are you okay with that? Because getting
Yeah,
them to
and
talk about it helps them process it too.
Yeah.
With both my son and my daughter, we had to jump a couple of times with daycares and everything. And then my son went to, preschool in the school system and then kindergarten. And both of those were in one elementary school, but then he got changed to the one that he's going to now. So he's jumped a few times. It's always
yeah,
important to be able to make sure, taking the time to be like, are you okay? Even if they're 3 or 4, now he's
right.
7. So just being like, in this last week, just, talking to him about it, just, bringing it up, making sure he's okay, and even encouraging, making them know it's like, he's going to second grade now and everything. And so, hey, you're no longer the small fish in the school, you're second grader now, and you're just going to be a little,
You're the big
yeah,
kid.
you're a big kid now. It's going to
Yeah.
be a little bit harder, but it's going to also be fun, bigger privileges because you're going to be the next grade up.
Right. And there are even books that help kids prepare for
Mhm.
school. Like a couple that I found where Pigeon has to go to school. One with dinosaurs that Tom will like this called "We Don't Eat Our Classmates."
I've seen that one.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna have to send me a link for that.
Daniel Tiger goes to
Mhm.
school, or Daniel Goes to School, which is a Daniel Tiger book. We have that for
Yeah,
my
we
daughter.
got that from the library last year for my son.
The Day You Begin, which is about school, I think, from what I
I don't
read.
know that one.
It looks good. I'm gonna have to
Okay.
buy it. But so once you've picked schools, you've started, you've explained everything. The next thing to do is to, which I mean, you talk to your children about their
Mhm.
feelings. The next thing to do is to build their
Yep.
confidence.
Yeah.
So affirmations, like match the energy that you want them to have for school. Don't be like, oh, we're going to school. Be like, we're going to school.
And point out all the fun
But
they're going to have, the things to learn, the
yeah,
friends they'll make.
exactly. Point out all that good stuff. Like you're gonna make new
Mhm.
friends. Like for my daughter, it's like you get to go hang out with a chinchilla all day, and she's just like, chinchilla. I was like, yeah, it's like a puppy and a
Yeah,
mouse.
it's like a little small furry thing that hops around and
Yeah.
looks adorable.
But notes, if they're older, notes in their lunch, like little surprises of snacks and stuff like that, things to get them, through their day with excitement. And then do things that to get them pumped about school. So like go school shopping
Mhm.
with them. Which a random fact that I learned researching this. Do you know how much the average family spends on school supplies per child
I
each
probably
year?
don't want to know.
Oh, it's in the thousands.
$700 is the average spent.
What?
Yeah, per child, adding up to about 80 billion in annual sales, in the United
And they
States.
market it just because they want us to know it's happening.
Yeah. Which I mean, it's like a total. A survey found that there's a total of 73 million students enrolled in school.
I think I saw that.
Which that's 23% of the population, 3 years or
Mhm.
older. But do things like that, like take them shopping. Like my daughter loves shopping. As a kid, I thought school shopping was fun until you got the new crowns and stuff like that. You got the notebooks, like the
The new
Trapper
what?
Keeper
Crayons?
crayons.
Crayons?
Crayons?
No, crayons,
Crayons.
not crayons.
Oh,
It's not
we
a
got another
cranberry.
language barrier going on here.
Crayons. CRAYONS.
Oh, he's giving the
Crayons.
stare. We're moving on. So one of the things that we do every year for at least my son, because he's old enough to kind of get this hype part, is we let him pick a new shirt. And that will be the shirt that he wears the first day.
My family did that. Especially, I'm the fourth out of five, so some of my clothes were hand-me-downs from my older brothers. But like, I got like one or two new shirts and like a pair of pants and a pair of shorts, and I got to pick them out, and like those were my like special outfits that I got to wear as a kid. But yeah, that's a fun thing to do with your kid when they're old enough, is to
they get to pick it. He had the option last year. He got a new backpack. He got a Spider-Man backpack, and
jealous.
What, I want it.
And I was like, hey dude, you had that for a year, do you want a new one? And he's like, no, I'm still good with Spider-Man. All right.
I'm good.
Yeah, tell him to ride that train.
I will wear this backpack till it falls apart.
It kind of is already.
I would if I had
he's
it.
happy about it, then I'm gonna let him be happy with it.
Yeah, so I mean, like things like that. I don't know. Do you guys' areas, is it normal for like parents to visit during lunch at school?
Growing up, in elementary school, like one of your parents or both of your parents could come, and like you got to sit in a special part of the lunchroom and like have lunch with your parents, and they could come like once a month or something if they wanted, but that wasn't always something that kids or families took advantage of. I don't know if it was both parents were working or the kid didn't want them there, or what the case was, but
I've never been able to, but I think at our school, if like you do the background check ahead of time and you schedule like a week in advance, they're a little more open with things.
So that's something you could do to kind of get your child excited for school, especially when they're younger, and you're like, hey, you think I'm cool? I'm gonna hang out with you at lunch. Yeah.
I would recommend not doing that probably if they're like in 5th grade.
Yeah, after a while, the kids are going to be like,
that's exactly when
lame.
You do it.
Then, because then they're going to get made fun of.
I know.
I know because I was the kid doing it.
But you know what I mean, though. It's like we're dads. Part of our job is to do things that embarrass our kids just a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're right. We don't want to like tarnish his social, status. But
yeah, I'll find plenty of other ways to embarrass my son.
Elementary school age.
Yeah, and middle school is when you really don't touch it.
Yeah, if you go see your kid in middle school and have lunch with them, your kid's going to be the laughing stock of not just their grade, but the entire.
Yeah, that's when you start back up.
Every grade will find out about it.
My daughter is she goes to violence very quickly. Last week I got a message from her teacher. It was like, "Hey, she kicked a student in the stomach."
Wow.
And I asked her, I was like, "Why did you do that?" And she was like, "'Cause I wanted to." And I was like, "Why did you want to?" She said, "He wasn't nice to me." And I was like, "Okay, you don't like take those matters in your own hands. You go and get a teacher." And it's like her old daycare was talking about how she would bully the older kids. So I feel bad for whoever tries to bully my daughter.
I just sent you, Larry, something that would be perfect for that.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah, it might be something.
I'll have to share this on social media. But
I was going to say it might be something we have to have looked at it. But
I kind of want to find out where that came from.
Oh yeah.
It's a muffin.
Yeah,
mug, and it says "I choose
but
violence."
She looks so happy.
I sent that to.
That's my daughter.
I sent it to Meredith, and she goes, "Our son's yeah, yeah, he is."
But for those kids that are of school age, a lot of teachers do recommend to continue learning during the summer to kind of keep their brain going. So like the summer reading and stuff like that, like doing things to keep their brains engaged. is something that they really
which has
recommend.
been great for us.
Yeah, remember the days? I was going to remember the days when we were kids, and like if you read a certain amount of books over the summer,
you got
you got a
personal
pizza
pan
party.
pizza
Yes.
Yeah.
from Pizza Hut.
Mhm.
For me, it was like if you read a certain amount of books, you got a ticket to a restaurant called Pleasers, which is now closed.
That doesn't sound.
It was kind of like just like a fast food restaurant. They had really good burgers.
I think not
Okay.
that one, but I do remember things like that. Like the pan pizza or another
Yeah.
restaurant would be like, oh, we'll give you a free burger or something.
Yeah.
But with the summer reading, actually been really good this summer, because my son at the beginning of July had that light bulb moment where he's like, oh, I like reading chapter books. Just out of nowhere. And he went to the library and bought and rented like 8 and read all but
Let
one.
me check that many out.
I was like, just devoured them.
Like the school library or like the library?
Like the library.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, they would let me do that. The school library would be like, you can have 2.
No, I don't know what their restrictions.
You big dummy.
Okay, but like, what if I want to read more?
But I mean, like, I told him, I was like, dude, are you sure you want to take all these books home? And then, 3 weeks later, he's read all but one. He just looks at me and is like, remember when you told me, Dad, I couldn't read all these?
I read. So behavioral counselors, they recommend that parents ensure their kids are ready for their first day of school by making sure that they get a good night's sleep, starting their morning with a healthy breakfast, and exhibiting and sharing a positive attitude about school. And I don't know, like I feel like a lot of parents are kind of like, oh, school, I don't want to get you ready. I don't want to get up in the morning, and the kids, mimic that energy.
Oh, I don't want to get up in the morning, but like I'll be like, "Hey, bud, like you ready to go see your friends?"
Yeah.
And
yeah,
he's like, "Okay," and like he's literally like walked into the hallway. Like, so we've got the entry hallway, mudroom, and then the garage, and like he'll walk over to where the door is to the mudroom. Then we go, "Bye," and he'll wave at me.
Laters. Oh. But so it gets difficult because I don't know what time schools start for you guys there. For me in Tennessee, it was 8:00.
That sounds about right. Middle school started later, and then high school started.
Oh, ours
earlier.
goes in the progression of high school's the last.
See, we were all the same. Like every school started at 8:00 in the town that I grew up in. In the town we're in now, I think schools start at 7:30, but they get out earlier.
Okay.
But the American Academy of Pediatrics and the CDC and like American Medical Association, they all recommend that schools day. Those people that know what they're talking about recommend that school days start after 8:30 a.m. But 87% of U.S. public schools start earlier than that.
I think mine is at like 8:20 or something.
Yeah, I have no idea what time it'll start. Like it's subject to change each year.
Which is weird and wild, but like for whatever reason, county schools think that they know better than actual.
The thing that drives me crazy is how my son's school starts, next Monday, but there's like 4 school districts in the area that have already started, and there's like a dozen more that are going to start, later next week or the week after, and it's just people. Why do we have to do that?
Friends that like from high school who they're obviously our age now, and they have kids who are like school age, and they live in different states across the country, and they're posting like, "Hey, like first day of school," and I'm like, "It's August." Like school used to start like at the very end of
Mhm.
August when I was growing up.
No, it always started at the beginning of August for me. Like at one time, school started
Oh,
in
geez.
July because
I
they
would
had.
throw up.
I don't remember why it started in July. I think it was something with like scheduling with the year prior. They had used too many days. Something had
That
happened.
that happened when I was in fourth grade.
Yeah.
It was a very
Mm-hmm.
snowy winter, and we almost had to extend the school year because we had to close for so many days.
I remember that happening
Yeah.
where we did
Inclement weather
one time. They added on like 5 days at the end of the year because we had a week of ice and snow and ice.
Nobody
and
showed up for those
Yeah.
last 5 days.
Well, see, you live in a more northern state
Yes.
than I do, so you have more salt trucks.
I
I feel
li-
like we only have 3 for the entire state of Georgia.
In Tennessee, they close for like the possibility of snow. It's like, well, there might be snow. Let's just go ahead and close just to be safe.
They did that when I was in like high school. They were like, might. And then
And-
it wound up being like 70
Yeah.
degrees that day. And
Well, and
okay.
and like one of the issues is like where I live, some towns are
Mhm.
in mountains. So just because it's, 50 degrees where I am, the mountain areas might be a little bit colder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ours is weird because certain schools seem to think that, we can handle it. Other ones freak out. We have a couple of schools at the moment they say flurries, they cancel. But then we'll have the other school
Yeah.
district that'll be like, it's 1.5 feet of snow. Our buses can get there. Go.
But one thing that definitely consider when you're getting your child ready for school and everything. I don't know if this is normal, but it's something that I plan on doing when my daughter starts kindergarten is getting the teacher a gift.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Because like teachers put up with so much. They're expected to, take care of your children all day, teach them everything they need to know, put up with the parents who are not understanding. And I mean,
Mhm.
with the rise of school shootings, they're now expected to give their life for your child.
Which are why so many teachers are quitting.
I'm not going to go
Yeah.
into a whole guns in school rant because that will just make people, yeah.
Yeah, that'll
But,
set all of us off.
I know what you mean though. So yeah, we always like the easiest is when the teachers are like, I like coffee. And it's like, cool. Then we're gonna make sure you get gift cards to like Dunkin' or whatever's nearby.
Exactly. But so the whole give a teacher an apple thing. Do you know why people do that?
Because an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and they deal with.
Now, hey, and remember, the apple that keeps the doctor away, depending on how hard you can throw that apple.
The tradition goes back to the 16th century in Denmark when teachers didn't earn enough for food, so parents would send them apples.
That's just crazy.
It's wild how some teachers still don't earn enough to eat proper meals. Weird.
My friend is a teacher in Texas, and I made more than him working at Walmart. And his school has, which I don't know if they're allowed to do this, but his school has like certain teachers who are concealed carry.
Yeah.
They're anonymous, but it's Texas, so it's probably allowed.
It's Texas. It's the free for all.
It's just a matter of time before an overzealous teacher shoots a child.
I'm not even going to go into reasons why, because like it's Texas. And I respect all of our listeners and their views. And
please don't hate us later, okay? We're being good.
I respect their right to have those views.
This is us being nice.
Yeah.
But no, like teachers, a lot of teachers, they spend years to learn these teaching methods, their subjects and everything, to move to essentially a thankless job where they work way more than they're supposed to, doing way like lesson plans, and grading papers and everything like that, only to be yelled at by parents. So show some gratitude and thanks to, teachers who do that.
And be patient, please.
Yeah.
Like my little sister went to get her master's in education because she loved doing it so much, and then this year she quit the public school system because it is literally a thankless job. Like so many parents, so she went to school for music, so she taught music, and she had parents calling her like, "Why didn't my child get a solo?" Like, well, this other child performed better.
Your child
I
sucks.
know your child is special.
And it was one of those, like, that's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
But like they have to deal with that.
It's like with Muffin, like your child's special, but only to you. And just remember that, because that's about as bad as it gets. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a rate and review. Your feedback fuels us and helps us reach more parents and make a positive impact on their lives. Are you looking for a daily dose of dad jokes? Follow us on Instagram @AsDadAsItGetsPod. There you can find the latest dad jokes and keep up with the latest news and updates about our podcast. Also, do you have a parenting question, or do you want to spotlight a dad? Reach out to us by email at asdadasitgets@gmail.com.